So don't be mad at black women who refusing to be by themselves if they wanted to be a partner, accepted the love and devotion of a white man who saw their value beyond their skin in a way that certain black men could, or saw the beauty and value in their skin, not transcending their darkness, inhabiting it in delicious fashion. But that's another story.
What's going on, Rebel family? Today's video, we'll take a look at Michael Eric Dyson blaming black men for why, for why, I can't even say it without laughing. Michael Eric Dyson is blaming black men for why the Supreme Court justices, these potentials that Joe Biden is going to pick for marrying white men. It's black men's fault for why they are actually married to white men. It's unbelievable. But before we get to the video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. So Joe Biden, excuse me. Michael Eric Dyson, he was, I guess, a guest pastor, what have you. The sermon was framed around strangers. He labeled black women as strangers, LGBT as strangers, transgender. He labeled all these people as strangers and stated that the Bible said, "Love the stranger." So that's kind of how he kept framing it. He kept bringing it back to a particular Bible verse about God saying, "Love the stranger," or the Bible saying, "Love the stranger." Black women are strangers, and then this is where he goes into the tangent of about these Supreme Court justices that Joe Biden is going to pick. So let's go ahead and jump into the clip.
And I know some people got a problem with some of these women married to white men. Yeah, I'm gonna go there this morning. Oh my God. Well, look, I don't know their situation, but this is what I do know. Some of them, a lot of them are dark-skinned black women, and some Negroes got a problem seeing the beauty in dark-skinned black women. Don't you be mad because a white boy came along and saw what you threw away.
Look at it. He think he's spitting some facts here. I can't stand this guy. But he think he's spitting some truth here that some black men. He started off. He contradicts himself real quick. He states that I don't know their situation, but then he goes and just makes up a situation to fit a narrative. Because again, in this church, or at least the online presence of the church that he was speaking to, was a group of black women. So here is the buck dancing, pandering that he's doing. So somehow or another, most of them are dark skinned, so black men somehow threw them away because they didn't see the value in their skin. Maybe it was just the people. Maybe they didn't want black men. You know what I mean? It's always the black man's fault. It makes absolutely no sense that you will blame black men for who they chose to marry, right? In order to get this high in politics or into the law profession or what have you, to get as far as they got in their career, I don't think they would have been able to do that with a black man by their side. So they're choosing black men, or not choosing black men, or choosing white men wasn't, I very highly doubt that it was due to black men not quote unquote choosing them, as this chump says, but it dealt more with they made political calculations, right? Kind of like Kamala Harris, right? She ran around with black dudes in the 90s, the Willie Brown, who she used to start her career, having an affair with a married man, allegedly, that got her into politics in California, San Francisco, I think, to be specific. But then, running around with Montel Williams in the 90s, early 2000s, or whatever. And then all of a sudden, when it's time to get married, because she understands she has higher political aspirations, I better go find that Doug. Let me go find that white dude, Doug. And got married. And I think this thing is calculated with some of these sisters as well. And they chose these white men based on their political aspirations, as opposed to black men not choosing them, again, like this clown, Michael Eric Chumpson says here.
I ain't saying that's everybody. I ain't saying that's everything. I'm not saying it's universal. But before you rag on them, understand the story. Some of these darker skinned black women don't
You said understand the story, but you said you don't know their story. So what is there to understand? Unless they come out and said you're just making up a hypothetical, so there's nothing to understand. We understand that they are married to white men. Those are the facts, and just leave it at that. Everything else is just, you know, is a hypothetical.
get no love. Could be at a place like Harvard, Princeton, and Yale, and the brothers dating all white women.
Look, okay, so now he doesn't throw these black women under the bus for marrying white dudes, but a brother at Harvard, Yale, Princeton, or whatever, they're dating all white men. That's a he had to he's gonna catch himself because he was gonna really go in and on black men about that, but he would have been seen as openly hypocritical if black women could marry white men, but black men can't marry white women, right? This dude is oh my god, I can't take these liberal shields, these black liberal bootlicks, man.
Now that's their choice if they want to do that, but look at the demonization of darkness. Look at the chocolate charm that's being overlooked. Look at it, and we got everything in the book. Vanilla vitality.
Okay, we talk about the demonization of darkness. We're gonna get into, and let's see who you chose to marry, Mr. Chumpson. Mr. Dyson. I would say something else on, but this is YouTube. But I would call him something else. But let's see who you chose, right? When we get down to it, who did you choose to marry? Did you were you averse to darkness?
Caramel cuteness, chocolate charm.
Did you get caramel cuteness?
Mocha magic.
You ain't get no mocha,
all, bruh.
Yeah, but you ain't choose it. You ain't choose who that was gonna be. This is his wife, by the way. Look at this. This is his wife. So he didn't choose anything dark. He didn't choose caramel. He chose something close to vanilla. White chocolate.
We overlook that, right? Because we think that the white man's water is water.
You think that. You think that. That's why you constantly kissing up and sucking up to these dudes. You think that, bro.
And skin and flesh is sweeter and sexier. So don't be mad at black women who refusing to be by themselves if they wanted to be a partner, accepted the love and devotion of a white man who saw their value beyond their skin in a way that
saw their value beyond their skin, but black men got caught up on skin. But the white man somehow or another saw all this value in the black woman besides her skin. This dude, man, I can't stand these liberal blacks, man. And then these quote unquote educated ones, they just go and get injected with, they just go get programmed. When they get to his level, they're just programmed just to be out here and spew white supremacist talking points. And let me be clear: white liberal supremacists, white supremacist liberals talking points. That's what he's programmed to spew.
That certain black men could or saw the beauty and value in their skin.
Look at this.
Not transcending their darkness, inhabiting it in delicious fashion. But that's another story.
He looks like, he just looks nuts, man. I can't take these guys, man. Any guy, okay, so, these guys are just the absolute worst. For any guy to be educated as him, to be on this level, and to be as educated as this guy, to want to be it with the likes of the Jay-Z's and the Beyoncé's. This guy really, I think he really wanted to be a rapper, but I don't believe he could cut it as a rapper, so he decided to be, a professor. And as a matter of fact, speaking of that, let's get into where I think he really thought he wanted to be a rapper, and this thing was the best place for him. He went on Def Poetry Jam. It was something that was Stan Lathan and Russell Simmons created this after they did Def Comedy Jam. They saw how huge Def Comedy Jam was in the 90s, and then in the tail end of the 90s, early 2000s, I think it was, they decided, okay, poetry is kind of a hot thing. So then they had, Def Poetry Jam, or whatever they call it, right? And where people got up and recited poetry and so forth and so on. and Michael Eric Dyson made an appearance on here, and the way he moves, I really feel that this dude think he's spitting bars.
This poem is dedicated to my brother Eric Dyson Bay, prisoner number 21267 in Michigan for 15 years. This is a defense of intellects, not caricatures of brainy cats whose thought is so abstract they can only land on their backs when thrown from unexamined premises. This is for the strong of will who understand the war we're in, for tender souls and unmade minds, often killed on battlefields made of newly crushed hopes and dreams unfulfilled. While those who lead us feed us lies and distortions through philosophical distortions that we can't even figure out because we so blunted out. We can't even read between the lines or above them for that matter. Unless they're spread out on mirrors to be sniffed up through noses so deadened to pain we can no longer smell the shame of our failure to lift up young ones in this game. What game? No, not that one. Where iced out messengers of political macking keep packing the exploited in their mental Cadillacs, transporting them to street corners to get paper we can't even write on because we forgot to fight on, past the ignorance that traps us and now we're socially illiterate. But since some of you so deep into the game, my aim is to pimp pages, turn metaphors into metaphors to serve sages. Like Socrates and Plato, while you on tiddlywinks and Play-Doh, you think that'll play though? We can't drop science, we gotta pick it up, wash off the grime and then stick it up on clotheslines and ghetto backyards. So dry off in receptive minds that savor sweet knowledge in the street college of experience and time. So I'm trying to make the life of the mind sexy. An intellectual MC, my essays, my singles, my texts, my CDs. I write books like niggas write hooks.
And here he writes books like niggas write hooks, right? He's about to step on the line because he's so used to just spewing a bunch of word salad that means nothing. He loves to talk fast and just say a bunch of babble. You know, he's cashed in his butter biscuits for nonsensical word babble a long time ago. He's fed through a word salad, a word babble. Word babble salad is what he's fed with. But he's about to step on the line that he understood would get crowd attention, but because he's so used to just talking fast and saying nothing. I mean, James Brown made that song, Talking Loud and Ain't Saying Nothing. That's Michael Eric Dyson. You know, a pulpit pimp. You know, he's a preacher, he's an ordained minister. So, you know, he has all of the things to appease the white liberal to, you know, make his money. You know, they gave him a little MSNBC television show at some point. But he just spews nonsense all the time. He's about to step on that line.
To catch you in the flow of my rhythm, a scholarly freestyle busted on folks in search of rhetorical salvation. Words like baptism water poured on your head to fill it with the Holy Ghost of illumination. True, I ain't in Billboard and I ain't got no video, but I'm struggling, to lace young brains with thoughts that will help redeem them. And for those who come back with weak words and sterile concepts, be they politicians or saviors with crazy mindsets, trying to strut and flex you, they got moral dyslexia. They reading things backwards, they written minds, I own them because I take time to mold them in the deep discipline of restrained agony and deferred despair. I care. That's why these words are so hot. That's why I swing, fight, and plead for all young folk I'm willing to bleed. Peace.
Okay, a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. He said basically nothing, and there's only one thing that I thought he said ever that I took from him, and that particular thing was he stated the reason why he got into hip-hop. He said he got into hip-hop because he understood that his son would be listening to hip-hop, so he wanted to understand what was being said and what he was listening to. And I thought, and I was like, okay, that's pretty good advice, right? But this dude took it too far. I mean, this dude, every 5 minutes, this dude is writing a book about Jay-Z. Like, I don't understand. You write 3, 4, 5 books about Jay-Z, and Michael Eric Dyson wants to clearly be in those circles with a Jay-Z and those guys, right? This is why he'll be booed up with a Kamala Harris, or he'll be booed up with, Barack Obama, right? And I remember when, he was so far up Obama's butt, right? So much butt kissing going on when Cornel West, was critical of Obama, then Michael Eric Dyson had to step in and so-called deliver this takedown of someone he considered a mentor, X, Y, and Z, and so forth. Tavis Smiley and, Cornel West, the reason why they did it might have been a little selfish or suspect on their part. They actually ended up being correct about Obama, right? They wind up being proven correct in their assertions or about some of the things that Obama was doing or not doing for black people. So, this guy is a disgrace to blame black men for why these black women chose to deal with white men and get married to white men. That has no bearing on black men. Did not diss them because of their darkness and didn't see the value in them or whatever. Like you said, you didn't know the story, so why are you making up all this hypothetical? But you can't blame black men for why these women chose to marry white men, right? You don't know the story, and then these women have agency. They could choose whoever they want to say yes or no to. I'm sure they've dated black men before. Why didn't they marry those black men? Right? Why don't you ask that question? Maybe they didn't see the value in the black men that they were with before they got with these white dudes. Why is it immediately let's jump over here and it's the black man's fault? Again, these coons, man. The movie The Purge, really needs that thing needs to happen in some form of fashion, because these people are cancers to the black community, right? The black elite, or quote unquote black elite, they are untrustworthy. They offer no constructive help or nothing constructive to the black community whatsoever. It's only about being the gatekeepers and how much they can get, and how much white ass they can kiss to fill up their coffers. These people have to go, man. Do not support these people whatsoever. I'm always suspect of, especially those who pledge Greek. They want to pledge these Greek organizations. I have zero trust in anyone, even though I know some people that are in them, and they are good people. I take it on as a general rule. I don't trust them. Then they gain my trust on a person by person basis, right? There's just no trust for anybody that'll say, hey, look, I identify with Greeks over black people. I don't trust them. But anyway, those are my final thoughts. Peace, Rebel family.